Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Warrior Woman podcast. Listen, I am excited to be here on today. Listen, the guest that we have is a powerhouse. Like, if you thought I talked about soul care, I promise you she gonna bring the fire. But welcome, welcome, welcome again. Wednesdays are for Warrior Womanhood. And so I'm just excited to be kicking things off. If you are new to the podcast, I am Ayana Henderson, and I am an emotional healing and wellness coach. And my platform is Warrior Womanhood. But I also have the Soul Care Success Series. And in that series, it is an opportunity for women to receive bite-sized bits of information to help them along their healing journey. And so just excited to kick things off. So one thing that I like to share is sort of my definition or my description of how I define soul care, right? And so soul care is kind of where we peel back the layers of our emotional trauma and we work to heal from the inside out. We work to heal those emotional wounds from the inside out. And one word picture, because I love me a good word picture, y'all. One word picture is almost like soul care is being able or having a surgeon go in to an area that just seems to be affecting you. It's causing you not to show up fully. It's giving you a lot of pain. You're not able to use it to its 100% full capability. It's stopping you from doing the things that you need to do. And so it's just like if a surgeon were to go in and figure out, what needs to be repaired, remove all the things that are not serving you, and then heal and seal. So that way you can start the process of really being able to regain the strength, the tenacity, and be able to use what it is that they are trying to repair. Where self-care is like either the preventative stuff that you do so that it doesn't happen, or the maintenance that happens so that you don't re-injure the emotional wound that you are dealing with. And so that's kind of how I define soul care. And I thought it would be very interesting to bring people along in the journey. It's one thing to always hear from me, but it's another when we can bring people on and come alongside us in the journey and say, sis, me too. Yep, this is what it looked like for me. These are the things that I did that helped me along the way. And, I just want to share that with the world so that, it can work for you as well. That is the goal of the podcast. And so I pray that you get all the things that you absolutely need from it. And so on today, we have Dr. Charlene D. Winley. And listen, she's going to bring it. I already know. I'm about to take notes, y'all. That's how good I know it's going to be, right? So Dr. Charlene Winley is the soul care coach, a certified life coach, speaker, author, CEO, and founder of ReScripted Life Coaching, ReScripted Life Academy, and the Soul Care Series. Check that, y'all. You see how the alignment works? Through her own experiences of sexual and mental abuse, homelessness, divorce, rejection, and grief, Dr. Winley equips professional women who are struggling to overcome life-altering experiences to come out of hiding and recover their identity so they can be activated in their purpose and live their life by design and not by default. She speaks on trauma as related to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, identity, soul care, and purpose. Through the Soul Care series, Dr. Winley uses her voice to empower women through quarterly transformational live weekly sessions. These sessions are geared to helping women uncover hidden wounds, recover their identity, discover their purpose, and be activated in their calling. Y'all, I'm just telling you, go get your notebooks because it's about to go down. It's about to go down. Look, and that's not all. Dr. Winley has a master's degree in human development, cognition, and learning from Columbia University with a concentration in clinical psychology. She holds a doctoral degree in educational leadership from Nova Southern University in Florida. She is the vice president of the Board of Attachment Trauma Network, a driving force to promote the healing of children impacted by trauma through supporting their families, schools, and community. Come on, sis. When we talk about credentials, okay, when we talk about learning your craft, listen, she has it all laid out. And I am so excited to have you on today. Welcome, 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 Dr. Charlene.
Thank you, Ayana. I am just so pleased. I'm beyond ecstatic. just to be able to grace your platform. I know the work that you're doing. I know your heart that you have for women and their healing. So just to have this divine connection is just, I'm just excited about it. So thank you once again for inviting me and allowing me to, connect with you on this, for this purpose of bringing healing to women.
Yes, ma'am. You're very welcome. So tell us a little bit about, now I know I done read all the cute stuff, right? All the things that we type up and we tell people this is who I am. But why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Well, I'm not even go with my credential. I'm a woman who have been impacted by trauma from pre-language through sexual abuse, all the way through marriage, divorce, molestation, grief. There's just so many different facets to my story. So I'm not just a person who just said, "Oh, I think I'm gonna pick this topic to talk about." Like I said before, pre-language, I was sexually abused, which I did not know until I became an adult. I didn't find out until I was in my 30s because something triggered me. And then I was like, found myself in the, the counselor office, the psychologist, and she's like, "Oh, you were sexually abused." I was like, "No, I'm not." I said, "I'm a psych major. You're lying to me. You're trying to put thoughts in my head. I wouldn't know if I was sexually abused." She's like, "Ma'am," she said, "you have repressed memories. And this is why everything is coming up, because the thing that triggered me, it was, I was at work one day, and at the time I was married, and one of my coworkers every day tapped me on my shoulder, "Hey, good morning, Mrs. Bannister," every day. So that particular day, tapped me on my shoulder, because in New York, you had to line up in the hallway waiting for your students to come. I was teaching at the time. I froze like a deer in headlights. I ran into my classroom closet. I just started breaking down and just started crying, like shaking uncontrollably. And when I got home, I was writing all this stuff, drawing all these pictures in my journals, and all of like memories. Like here I was 3. Memories were just coming forward in pictures and images. And she's like, "Well," I said, "Well, how come I didn't know?" She said, "You have repressed memory because instead of splitting, having multiple personality, your mind repressed it." And so that was like my entry into, this world of being sexually abused. Whereas I knew how sexually, I was a virgin, you know what I'm saying? But I knew how to have sex, you know what I'm saying? Just like wondering why, I'm going to be virgin I get married, because that's what I'm a bishop's daughter. That's what I was told. But it's just like I knew a lot of things. And so that carried into my marriage. It's just so, just wanting to be healed. Like I'm a believer. God, there's certain things I'm doing. I'm involved in adultery. There's so many different facets to my story was going on in my life. Then I come up with grief, suicide, murder. There's all different type of things, cancer, just different type of things going on in my family. So, I said, "God, you say what we can have. You say that you're the big God, you're on the throne, but why am I broken? Why am I hurting? This is not how it's supposed to be. Why am I still caught up in these cycles?" And I wanted healing. I didn't do this for anyone. I did this for me. So I found myself in again, moving forward a couple of years, many years later, maybe I moved to Virginia, and I found myself in a relationship that I shouldn't have been in. I found myself in a psychiatrist, psychotherapist office again. And, she just laid it down, and she just told me what was going on in my life. And I just told her, "Listen, all I want to do is get better. That's it." She said, "Oh, girl, you got such a story. You wait and see. You're going to write a book. You're going to be telling women about this story." I said, "Listen, I don't care about anybody else. I'm not telling nobody nothing. I just want to get healed. I just want to feel better. I don't care about anybody else." This is what I tell her. I said, I just want to feel better. I said, "Just take the pain away." I said, "I'm dying inside. Take the pain away." And as we continued through therapy and unpacking years and years of mindset, years and years of this trauma. I can't even begin to tell you, because I'm not sure where you are spiritually, but the dreams I was having, those who are believers and know about incubus and succubus spirit, they are real. Okay. Just going through all of that, just unpacking and just trying to get my soul back, get my life back, to take off the mask. Like, I want healing. I don't want a facade. I don't want to be for the gram. I don't want to be for Facebook. God, I want you to genuinely heal me. And it's been a journey. So it's been, over 10 years, I would say maybe 12 years, that I sat in that office and just told her I wanted to be free. And then God, I just surrendered myself and said, God, just do your work, heal me. And then just learning that soul care, soul healing is a process. Yes, you can get your, I did the counseling, I did the therapy, I did the coaching, I did healing and deliverance, you know, but then after that, you still got to maintain so you don't keep continuing the cycle. It's not, you know, not just, okay, here, let's expel everything, you're good to go. No, you have to work on your soul salvation to continually with the process. And once that layer is peeled off, guess what? Another layer is coming up. There's something else for you to deal with that you couldn't deal with before. Now you're able to deal with it now. So my whole thing is that I wanted to be whole. I wanted to be healthy. I didn't want to be a fake. I wanted to be that others can see that the power of the living God. And that's what that started my journey. And this is why I do what I do. We can't hear you. You're muted, sweetie.
And thank you, because there was some stuff going on in the background. But first of all, thank you for being so vulnerable and transparent. Like, this is where real transformation starts to happen, when people are okay. Like, right. They're at a point where they can stand on their story and then be able to pour from it. And listen, I don't want you guys to miss anything she is saying today. I don't want you to miss it. I want you to catch it all, because there is a difference now. And understand the perspective that this is coming from. This is coming from a woman who's done the psych work, who has all the credentialed knowledge of doing this type of work from a clinical standpoint, but realizing and still recognizing that even in that capacity, I still have to recover my soul. I still have to, at the end of the day, God is not really like, oh, your body is this, or he's like, what's in your soul? Like, that's what I'm looking at. I want to save your soul, not your features, not any of the other things, not all the things that you cannot take with you from this side of heaven to the next side of heaven. It is your soul that is going. And so it is just to hear it all, like, don't be the facade. Don't do the fake healing. Don't do the things that find you temporary relief. Really dig into the process, right? And really, like you said, it's in layers, right? You're not strong enough to heal one thing. You know, like, you may have something down here, but because you need to heal layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, you can't even get to the root, because you got to heal those layers, and you can't even handle this layer. That's why it's so deep down within you. And that repression, that repression is real.
And it's coming for you.
Anything that's repressed, anything that's suppressed, has the ability to uproot itself. And you never know when that trigger is going to hit. You never know when that landmine is going to hit. Somebody will automatically, and they're not doing it intentionally. Sometimes they are, but they will step on that landmine, blow up that whole wound right in your face. And you're sitting, like Dr. Charlene said, in the office, realizing for the first time as an adult that, oh my God, this actually happened. This is a thing. And it's crazy. It's crazy how it works. But when it happens, leaning in and being able to embrace the process. So we both dabble in the soul care, not even dabble. We are in the soul care work, the soul care journey, working with women to be able to heal their souls. So I've given my sort of broad definition of how I see soul care, how I define it. So can you tell us, for you, what does soul care mean to you, and how would you define it? What does it look like for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think everybody needs to know that what the soul is. The soul is comprised of your mind, your will, and your emotions. Okay, so, you know, within your emotions, you got your heart and all that, because a lot of people don't know what the soul is. Okay, spirit is spirit, soul is soul. So people think that when God created man, he didn't make a body and just, you know, just made life, and he created man, and he breathed his living, his divine essence inside of you. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Your spirit is what you are, okay? A spiritual being inhabiting and interfacing with the physical body. But your soul is who you are. Your soul involves your personality, your cognition, your habits, your idiosyncrasies. That's your soul. Your mind, your will, and your emotions. You know you have free will to do whatever it is that you want to do. Know that your spirit always want to connect and always want to communicate with God. That's why men always look for ways to communicate with him. And they're not communicating with him the way they want to. They're willing to try any and everything. They're doing these different cults, doing these different things. But your soul, fortunately, your soul is selfish and it seeks to do things that gratifies itself. So soul care is like my Facebook group is called Soul Care is Self-Care, because it's the intentional healing of your soul, going through the uncovering, recovering, transforming, and rebuilding your life in areas that it has broken, where it got shattered, where it got halted or stagnated because of an event or experiences that have occurred in your life, and your attitude, your mind towards these experiences. Now, you can't undo the past. You can't undo the things that occurred in the past, but what you can do is reframe and tell your story differently, as to say, well, this happened to me, I'm this way because of that. Well, you can undo that. Okay, I used to be this way, I used to respond this way, I used to react this way, but now because I've learned, but I'm going through the process of healing my soul. I'm going through the process of recovering, so I don't be triggered by it, by the events that occurred in my life. I want to stand over it. I want to be empowered and put it under my feet. So that's what whole soul care means to me. It's the intentional healing. It's the uncovering. It's the rebuilding. It's the building up yourself from these situations and events that occur in your life.
Listen, she just unpacked it and laid it out all the way. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear the definition that she just gave of how she embodies like the work around soul care, right? And then the separation between soul and spirit, because most people don't understand the difference between the two, or that there even is a difference. And what did God actually breathe into when he was creating man? People don't realize the depth and the power of what he was actually doing in that moment. And what happens is he breathes his likeness, his soul, his spirit into us, and then other people in their flesh damage it. And now we have to do the work to recover from it. It's still the same fall of man. It's still the same concept over and over and over again. And that is why now we have to focus on the work of reclaiming our soul, like not being rooted in the world, but being rooted in the word. So that way we can manifest our identity, God's identity within us. Because that's where it's always going to be centered. Go ahead, Dr. Charlene.
I'm going to say, without the healing of your soul, you're living your life, like I said, instead of your point of you're living your life by default, by what happened. Your identity has been altered, and you're rooted to the source of your trauma. So that's your new identity. Okay, this occurred to me, or I was born in poverty, or I didn't have a father, my husband cheated on me, or whatever it was. That's where you're living from. My mother died when I was young. So all these little labels that you're placing on yourself, and that's where you live in your life from. But yet you said, some of you say you serve the true and living God. You serve the great I am. You serve the Alpha and Omega. Then you should not be living underneath anything. You know what I'm saying? Because he said he makes your head not the tail, above and not beneath. So if you got to surrender God. So one of the things I said, God, if there's anything in me, if there's areas of brokenness in me, I want to be healed. I want you to do the work. Now, we know how we say that. We don't think there's anything wrong.
Right.
And look, don't say it if you don't mean it, because I'm going to tell you, the process that he's going to take you through to reveal things in your life is not pretty.
It is not.
It's hurt. Like many times, like God's like, okay, God, all right, enough. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't, the surgery is real. The surgery is real, but if you stay on the potter's wheel, if you allow him to do the healing, to bring it up, because I'm telling you, what you don't deal with is going to come up. And what you don't want to do is be on stage or on your platform, and then something comes and boom, you know what I'm saying? And now you in a big scandal, you know what I'm saying?
Or you up there just
right. You clapping back on somebody, or something happens because you didn't deal with it when God's been pointing his finger for the last couple of years for you to deal with this issue, but you didn't want to. Okay. And we can say a lot of things that we won't do, but you don't know until it's presented to you. Okay.
Look, that part,
Right.
that
Right.
part right there. And let me tag this on, that we are praying for things that come with lessons that we didn't plan for.
Mm.
Like,
Say that again. Say that
listen,
again.
you will pray for things,
Uh-uh.
I promise you, they will always come with a lesson that you did not plan for. You
That,
couldn't have even prepared yourself for it,
no, man.
because the thing that you're asking God for, He's looking at your character, He's looking at your heart, He's looking at your motives, and He's saying, I can't even give it to you yet. You're going to mess it up.
Mess it up.
Like, how you praying for millions, but you can't handle, you know what I'm saying? You can't even master $5.
You can't handle the $1,000 temptation.
You see what I'm saying?
You know, you'll be 10-2 with somebody give you a $3 million proposal. All you gotta do is denounce Christ. All you gotta do is, well, I ain't gonna do it. I would never do it. Okay, yeah, when the money's sitting on the table,
That part.
okay, or TV shows or whatever, all the things you desire is put before you.
Right.
You'll be surprised how many people compromise and how many people backtrack.
You see what I'm saying? Because when you're praying, not only is God hearing you, but the enemy's hearing you too.
Exactly. You girl.
Listen, he's hearing you too. And he's like, oh, that's what she wants. Okay, bet. Let me make it so desirable for her. And let me make it so appealing for her. And then let me just show up on an ad. Let me just show up on a commercial. Let me just show up in a post. Let me just show up in an email. Let me just have a friend call her and mention something so that she can believe that this is in alignment. I promise you, he is listening just as much as God is, so that he can orchestrate his plan. And so this is why getting your soul together, getting your character together, getting your mind together, emotional stability, mental stability, getting that all together, because then you'll be able to discern what's a trick and what's not. And just like the word says, if you're not sure, test it. But you won't even know to do that because you're operating from this wounded place. Your perspective is off. Your beliefs are off. Like, everything that you think, feel, see, believe, perceive is all skewed because it's being seen through the lens of rejection or abandonment or violation or sexual abuse or all of these things. Like, and I've talked about my own sexual trauma, and for years, I thought the only thing that was valuable to a man was between my legs. That was how I determined whether or not they loved me for years.
Society teaches you, though.
You see? And for me, it was the molestation when I was younger.
Right.
And that was the first time that a man was happy with something that I did. Like, I could see the expressed happiness. And so it altered the way that I saw myself. And so what was supposed to be valuable to me, my identity, my self-esteem, my character, the things that I like, my voice, that was all shifted in that moment. And it went to one thing and one thing only.
Exactly.
And then it changed all the relationships that I would have with men for the rest of my life until you start that process. This is how the trickle effect starts, from one incident, and you play it off, or you repress it, or you suppress it, and you try to forget, and you try to black it out, and you think that this thing has never happened, and then it shows up and you're like, oh wow. And then let me say this, because she is telling no lies. When you ask God to show you
exactly,
you better find something to hold on to, embrace yourself, because I promise you, he will show you fully.
No holds barred.
How you're showing up and how you're treating people.
Yes.
And you got to be like, it brought me to my knees when I saw how ugly my character had become because of these emotional wounds. I thought I was out here doing okay. God was like, there's this, there's that, and then there's two of these. Did you know that there was two of these? And you was okay. And just like, we'll unpack it all, and you see the fullness of how you're showing up, how you're treating people, why your relationships aren't working, why you're going from job to job, why you're not feeling fulfilled, why you're not really operating in the thing God told you to do, and you knew it, you felt it, and you're not doing it. And you're just like, oh. But it is going to be one of the most rewarding questions that you could ever ask him in your entire life, because
Yes.
it will change it as soon as you lean into the process. So I'll ask you, Dr. Charlene, because we know what that process is like.
Mm-hmm.
We know what it's like to see the ugliness in ourselves because it's been exposed. And here's the thing, it's not that he does it in such a hurtful and mean way. Let me just say this. He does do it filled with grace, filled with mercy, but he does it with a truth and love. If you ever
Yes.
want to experience a true truth and love, ask God to show you and watch the way that he unpacks who you are. It will not cripple you. I promise you. It will not cripple you, but you will see the truth, but you will also feel so incredibly and completely loved in the process.
True.
Mind blowing. Am I telling any lies?
And it's really what I find also is really hard to when you're dealing with women who never had a loving father. It's so difficult. They can't even comprehend a God that's a loving father, because my biological father didn't treat me right, or he wasn't nowhere around. So then, of course, this being is going to lie to me, is going to disappoint me, is not going to be there when I need them. So they don't know how to trust. Yes, they believe in God, but they don't trust him. So belief and trust is not the same. I believe you. I believe in you. But can I trust you with my life? Can I trust you with my desires? Can I trust you to heal me? Can I trust you to have a plan and purpose for my life? You know, we say that, but what if his plan and purpose is different than what I have? It's going to be aligned. Your will, once your will is aligned, it's going to be aligned.
I promise you.
I'm surrendered. You know, I'm surrendered
every single time. If I could tell you guys that the part of trusting God also came with the death of both of my parents. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. If I'm going to trust God, I have to trust him through it all. Everything. I have to believe that he took them at this moment for such a time as this. It was not because of, it's not a punishment. It's not anything that they did wrong. They lived their life. This was their time. This was their end date. And it was for a reason. Mm-hmm. It was for a reason. And I still have to trust that he loves me. And I was a daddy's girl and a mommy's girl, like super close. And then to have them go within 15 months of each other. And here's exactly what he said. He said, I took your mom because you were not going to be the woman that I called you to be. And it's time for you to step into her.
Wow. Wow.
And I was like, you didn't have to say it like that, but I got it. And I could come to terms with it still hurt.
Right.
But I could come to terms with the fact that this is how you took her. And then he said you had to watch her die on the phone because I had COVID. She had COVID. And so I couldn't even go to the hospital.
Wow.
And so he said the reason I did that was because if you were in the hospital, you would have acted a straight fool. You would have returned to like 5 or 6 and you would have been inconsolable. And I couldn't let you, I don't know that. And he said, I don't know that you would have recovered from it. Not that I couldn't. I don't know that you would have.
Right.
So I had to do it that way. And it sounds hard, but when you trust God, you know that everything still works together for your good. Time and time and time again. And so the question that I was going to ask, as we were talking about some of the challenges, especially when we're asking, God, please show me, right? So the question that I have is, what has been the biggest challenge or hurdle or healing step in your process and in your journey?
Wow, that is such a loaded question. It brings me to mind the last anthology that I was in. Is called Surviving Her, The Art of Forgiveness. And in that book, I talk about the person that I needed to forgive, and that person was God. I had so much unforgiveness, and I know you're like, forgive God for what? Because I blamed him for everything. I blamed him for the molestation that occurred in my life. I blamed him for the divorce. I blamed him for my father dying of malpractice, my mother dying of cancer, the suicide, everything that occurred in my life. I blamed God for. Know why? Because growing up in church, what did you hear? Nothing can happen unless God allowed it. So it's like all the bad. My friends wasn't going through nothing. They weren't saved. They were living their lives. Their parents were doing their whatever, and they seemed to have good life. They had money. They was prospering. But me growing up, you know, we got these rigid and doing these things, and seeing my family was suffering. So I blamed him. Like, okay, well, God, you see this, you punishing me, you don't love me. So that was the biggest, my biggest barrier is that I wanted to surrender. I was in rebellion. Yes, I was going to church every Sunday. Yes, I was hallelujah praising God, but my heart was in rebellion because I didn't trust him. You know, like he doesn't love me. There's something wrong with me because all these things wouldn't have happened. So that was my biggest barrier is my attitude or my I want to do it my way. Because see, once you've been abused, and it's very, very difficult for you to trust others, and it doesn't matter who it is. You don't trust God either, and that was the biggest thing. I didn't trust. I didn't trust anyone. If anything was going to be done, I had to do it myself. I couldn't put things into people's hands because they're going to fall below. Because I also had a spirit of perfectionism, so things had to be done a certain way to this level that you would never reach. So I operate in that spirit of perfectionism. That was one of my biggest channels, that the lack of trust. And you know, with that spirit of perfection, you come under a cloud of pride, and you have to admit that something's wrong. You have to admit that you need help. You have to admit that you're not happy. Okay, so that was the biggest thing. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm making through it. I'll figure out something to make me feel good. I'll change my job. I'll relocate. I'll do these little temporary feel good things that, you know, the endorphins wear off after a while. And guess what? You're back again at the pity party, the guest of honor, feeling sad, feeling blue. What's going on? So that was it. Not wanting to admit, not trusting God, and not being surrendered, you know, and really wanting to do the work, you know. Wanting to do the work.
She said, showing up to the pity party as the guest of honor.
Yeah.
Y'all. She said, not only was I on the invitation, but I was the reason why everybody was having a pity party to begin with. Child, I promise you what, every time you think, I don't know, I kind of know as I'm learning, but whenever women go through this sort of life-altering change, one of the first things we do is we cut our hair, or we move to a new city, or we quit our job.
I move. Yeah.
Those are typically the three things. We do something drastic. We change our appearance, we change our location, or we change how our income is coming in. And it doesn't, like, if you cut your hair, if you grow your hair, the pain is still going to be there. If you travel from one state to the next state, guess what's coming with you? All the baggage is coming with you, and it's gonna meet you in the same state.
I'm here,
right? Like, girl, let's unpack, because child, I'm here. Rejection, are you here? I'm here. You know what I'm saying?
New people to hurt or get hurt by. That's all.
You see. And then you want to, you know, quit your job or do something brash, and you call it like, oh, I'm just, you know, doing me, or I'm just gonna, you know, and it's just like, yeah, but your pain is also doing you too, like all at the same time. And so that's never going to solve it. And so what was interesting that you said was, you know, you dealt with the spirit of perfectionism because it was hard for you to trust and hard for you to give off. And so that is one of the ways, like, perfectionism is not a badge of honor. Can I just free somebody? Perfectionism is not a badge of honor.
It's a straight jacket.
It's an overcompensation for something that's in lack.
And it'll never be perfect. There's always going to be something out of place.
Okay.
You could reread it over and over and over. You could paint it over and over and over. You could, whatever's never going to. I've lived that life. Trust me, you will never reach.
No.
Because it's a standard that you'll never get to.
Because what perfectionism does is it causes you to focus solely on the flaws.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't even actually help you focus on the things that are going well. Perfectionism automatically gets you to default to all the flaws, all the mishaps, and all the mistakes.
And with perfectionism, you can have 1,000 people tell you how wonderful you are, how great your show was, or your book, or whatever. But one person you don't even know in Timbuktu, oh, it was horrible, I didn't like it. And guess what you're focusing on? The one person in that remote island somewhere over there. That's what you're focusing on. Well, but they said this, discounting everything else, right? Because that's perfectionism. You can't have one little iota out of place.
Mm-mm. And every time you think you're fixing the thing, you're causing something else to also not. It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You try to stand that, you have your whole domino thing up, and you're looking, and you're like, oh, and then something knocks over, and now you're trying to, and then three more knock over, and that's how perfectionism works. It constantly has you in a chase of fixing. That's all it is. It's cat and mouse with yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. Like that's it. Listen. And so what's interesting about just the journey in general is when we're actually going through it, I call them the valley lows. These are the moments where we're really starting to see ourselves. We're really starting to admit some hard truths. We're learning that we blame God, that we're not really trusting him the way that we thought. We're starting to reconcile some things with what we believe versus what's in our soul.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that we're telling ourselves, right? And I say sometimes we partner with the lies of the enemy, right? I'm a perfectionist. No, that's not a label that anybody should wear. It's not a badge of honor. Like I'm a strong, and I say this because I believe it differently now. I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a strong, independent Black woman. Sometimes the strength that you are using to sort of puff yourself up is the same strength that you're using to carry your wounds. That's why you're tired.
Right. That's right.
That's why you're tired.
That's
because
right.
I promise you, when you're at peace, you don't have to hold up anything. You don't got to protect anything. Nope. You can just exist and be like, this is who I am. This is how I show up.
Yeah.
I'm out here. And people either like you or they don't. And it's okay.
And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You don't have to be all this strong and independent, and I could do everything for myself, and I got it, and I do it all. I wear all the hats, sis. Why don't you just wear one? Because trying to wear all of them is,
you don't have to be every woman. Just be uniquely you.
That's you see what I'm saying? Say that again. You don't have to be.
Because no one can be the you that you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can outshine anybody just being yourself. No one can hold the candle to you, but you're trying to hold your candle to somebody else, and you're never going to be. Like, I can never be an Ayana. I can never be, anybody else. I can't be you. But if you just be yourself, like, you can't be me. I'll be a poor imitation of anybody else out there.
Listen,
a poor imitation of them. But I could do me very well. It took a lot of time for me to get to that point in my life where I loved myself, where I was happy being me. Instead of, like you said, this is wrong with me, that's wrong with me, I should be more of this, I should be more of that. Trying to fit my personality to different things. So I just have to be me.
And that's exhausting, trying to always conform yourself and contort yourself to somebody else's preference.
I'm okay not being a good fit. I'm okay. That took me a long time, especially moving from New York to Virginia. I have the accent, I come from a very strong family. New York is a very, very strong. We're forthright. We're going to tell you, we're not going to smile in your face and then stab you behind your back. You know how we feel because we're right. That's it.
You must see it coming.
Right. You want to know how we feel. I'm going to do work with you. I'm going to do the work we got to do on the job, but I'm not going to invite you over to my house.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't like you. This is where you are. But you come as you start coming down to the south, that southern hospitality stuff. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So they can't deal with the forthright. I'd rather honesty. You don't ask me no question, I tell you no lie.
Right.
If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask. And I just got tired of, I just started, trying to fit in, all my ducks lined in a row, saying the right thing. I just got tired of, doing this, or jumping, hopping, skipping, trying to fit in because people, I'm too this, so I gotta be careful what I say, how I say. I'm a soul kid, coach. I'm not gonna do anything to intentionally hurt anyone.
No,
never. But if what I'm saying is biting you, is bothering you the wrong way, what is it that you want me to do? How many different ways can I say you're hurting, you're broken,
right?
You need to be healed. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How many different ways?
Right, because it's for your benefit. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of the caveat to this work is we have to peel back the ugly things that you've been suppressing for so long. And so when you are still in a place of hurting, it's going to feel like the coach is coming at you or coming for you. And really, we're coming for your pain. It's just you feel it, and you're probably feeling it for the first time. And so your natural instinct, the habitual pattern that your mind has learned, is to suppress it and repress it. And we're here to sort of extract it and pull it out and say, we have to pull this out, because if it stays in you, you are going to deal with this. You will die with this.
If you want to now, it's your choice. It's your choice. Like Jesus said to the man, do thou want to be healed? Do you want to be healed? Like, then you can't. What do you want to do? You want to be healed? Or you want to spend another 38 years standing by the pool? What do you want to do?
Let's figure it out. You want to keep dipping your toe, or you want to jump in and experience?
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Let me know. But, and you alluded to this, because, as we talk about the healing journey, we want to be real and we want to be raw about what it actually looks like. But there is so much reward to it. Who I am now is not the same woman I was 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Yes. I'm just not her anymore. Not her. Right. And so when I had to, part of my journey, I had to literally find my identity in Christ, because I didn't really know about it. I didn't come from a family that was churched. I didn't spend time growing up in a Christian household. I didn't know much about it. So when I committed my life to Christ at 35, I was learning for the first time that I didn't have core values. I didn't have standards, that I was wounded, that I was dealing with rejection, that I was dealing with abandonment, that I hadn't really dealt with my sexual trauma that happened to me and how it reshaped, that I hadn't forgiven people that I thought I had forgiven. All of it just sort of came to light. But when I started to walk through the process, and now who I am on the other side, right? So we've had these valley lows where we're now experiencing all these repressed and suppressed traumatic experiences, whether it was sexual, whether it was mental, whether it was emotional, whether it was verbal, right? And let me say this, so I can put it as plainly as I can. Sexual abuse is clear. We can define it. We know what it is. But verbal, mental, and emotional abuse is just like rape to the soul. It's just like rape to the soul, because it robs you of what you feel. It robs you of what you believe. It shifts your perspective. You develop emotions that you didn't know you had. There's anger that just boils, and rage that boils on the inside of you. It alters your perspective and how you see yourself. It takes and strips your voice completely from you, Like you can equate it to the same. And so this is why the work is so important, because you are literally fighting to reclaim your voice, reclaim your power, reclaim all the things that were stripped from you in the moment that you were attacked emotionally, you were attacked mentally, you were attacked verbally, right? It's all those things. You may not have a visible scar, but I promise you your soul does.
There you go. And that verbal abuse, forget the sticks and stones don't hurt my bones. That verbal abuse and that mental, emotional abuse, that's so deep, because the scar is so it cuts so deep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not a physical healing type thing. It's that emotional, and you don't even know why you're lashing out for something that happened 5, 10, 15, 20 years because of a wound or something an adult said to you. You can't do anything. You're so stupid. Whatever they said.
Right.
To a child, that's major. And you grow up with that, I'm stupid. I can't do anything right. I'm make a mistake. And you carry that in your 35-year-old, your 45-year-old, whatever self. You can't do it because you got that in your mind. I can't. I'm stupid. Because of words that were said to you. So yeah.
Listen.
You have to identify. You got to really listen to your thoughts and things that you're saying. I'm very, very conscious of the thoughts that I say. Mm-hmm. If I hear something come up negatively, I come against it. I replace the lie with the truth, because if you don't, it's there. Your brain doesn't know right from wrong. Your brain doesn't know your mind doesn't know when you're playing. I hate myself. I can't stand. I hate you. You're saying it out of your mouth. You're saying that. Exactly. Your brain, your mind believes it.
Right.
I'm fat. Guess what? Okay, so now 5, 3, 4 years from now, you're gonna be fat. Okay.
Basically, because you told yourself that.
There you go. So now we're gonna find ways to make this happen.
Right.
Okay? Whatever you say, your mind is going to find the way to bring it to pass. So you
Because
got to undo all of that. You got to unpack everything that was told to you as a child, that you look like your dad, you're worthless, you're never going to be anything, you can't do anything. You know, all the different things that parents say affects a child.
man, yes. I promise you there are no lies detected. None. Not a single one. I promise you what. Like I just wrote a post. There were two things that I wrote that were just in alignment with what you said. One, God doesn't give you the ability to be somebody else.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
He will not gift you the talent, the skill, like the character. He will not gift you any of that for the purpose of becoming somebody he did not design you to be. That's one. That's one. And two, it's the, how do I say this? It is the people don't realize your thoughts are silent words. Like just because it didn't come out your mouth doesn't mean that your mind isn't still processing it.
It processes.
When you speak it out your mouth, you just affirm what you already thought. You just affirm what you already thought.
Right. And then also even going beyond that, if it's a thought, and when you're awake in your conscious mind, you kind of like more or less control it. But when you're sleeping, them thoughts are really now doing their work. Now they're getting embedded because you didn't deal with them when you was conscious and awake. So now when you're sleeping, it's reinforcing. It's reinforcing, it's going deeper and deeper in your subconscious mind. And we know the subconscious is what controls our conscious life.
Exactly. Come on with the science.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's a fact.
Right. So. Indisputable fact. Like, and then here's the dope part. If you can do this with negative thoughts,
there you go.
Imagine how you can renew your mind with positive ones. You have the ability from a subconscious level to reshape and change the way you see yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you are not your mistake. You're not your past. You know, you're not your past issues. You know, you have the opportunity to create a better future.
Listen.
You know?
And so
don't do it on the surface. Don't do it with an Instagram reel. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it with the posts.
Yes,
do the work. Do the work. Get the inner healing. Not just making some pictures and change a couple of outfits and get a wig or two.
Mm-mm. You see what I'm saying? Let him know. Speak to him. Speak to him from a real place. She said, "Don't do it for the gram.
Don't do it for the real. Don't do it. You know, because we've changed. You know, so now we've changed. We don't use alcohol and drugs anymore. You know, doing that or sex. We're doing like, shares, and follow. That's what we're going for. Basically. Oh, I got all of these follows. I got all these people. My thing went viral. Okay, right. Are you really ready for this? Sex of something going viral? Are you really ready for the world to open up to see every waking moment, everything you do? Do you really want to be out there like that?
Right.
Everything you do now with some people, if you can't deal with criticism from your neighbor, forget 20 million people criticizing what you do. Okay, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. I'm not looking for that. That's
not right. God, just give me my sheet.
Okay, there you go.
Give me my sheet.
There you go.
Okay, let me work with my sheet. Okay, and that's it. That's all. You see what I'm saying? And so you kind of alluded to this a little bit, but for you, what has been the biggest reward in your healing journey as a result of doing all the work?
Well, you know, like I know that I'm not the same person that I was years ago. And I know that if I can see a transformation, me from uncovering, recovering, and my life being transformed, then that means I can do it for somebody else. I can help someone else, show them the way, how to say, listen, I am not my story, honey. Trust me. I could tell you some things that make your toes curl, okay? So all you see here, this is a work in progress. So if I can come through, trust and believe you can come through too. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that I have not remained silent, quiet. It took me years to be able to come out, but if you can be healed. There's nothing, no situation, no circumstance that has occurred in your life that you cannot heal from. I don't care how grievous it is. I don't care how many men, I don't care how old you were, I don't care what happened. You have the power to overcome. You have a power to overcome and stand on it and use your voice to help someone else come out of their trauma. So that's the biggest reward that women heal. That they see themselves how precious they are, how beautiful they are, how worthy. Nothing pains me more than a woman not knowing her value and her worth. That just, it hurts me to the core. That
Mm.
hurts the core when a person don't know their value or their worth. They're out there, you know, doing this and doing that for somebody to whistle at them, you know.
Right.
Value, baby.
Right.
Value. Your
Right.
price is far above rubies.
Listen, I like there's one key thing that you said. You just keep dropping them. I hope y'all are taking notes. I promise you. She said there's nothing too big that you can't heal.
Nothing.
There
Tell me,
is nothing too big.
name one thing.
Right. And then like I'll wait. Yep, you ain't got nothing. There's nothing too big that our God cannot heal.
Cannot.
Nothing. And sometimes we prevent take like bringing ourselves or presenting ourselves before God with with our healing request because we think it's going to be too much for him. And he's like, "Do you know who I like? You know who I am, right? Like it's not going to be a snap of the finger and it's not going to be some big miraculous thing like you see painted on TV, but I can do something with that. But I need you to do one thing in order to do something with it. And you talked about it before. And I kind of have a feeling like if it was going to be the one tip, right? If it was going to be the one tip that you could give, you talked about it before, but if I can say it, even if it's not the thing that you want to share, you have to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
God is not a God that's going to go in your heart, take out the things, and then start working. He's like, I know they're there. I know they exist. I knew what happened. I knew how it happened. I knew how it made you feel. But I'm not going to do anything unless you choose to give it to me.
Yeah.
And it requires you to surrender it. It requires for you to hand it over to me and say, God, this is all of it. This is how I feel. And he doesn't even care how it comes out. Like, I remember I was in my grief and I gave it to him. And the first thing he said, and I was like, I mean, the colorful words and everything. And the first thing he said to me was, finally, I've been waiting for you to give me that. I can do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not offended because he knows who I am. He knew where I was.
Right. Just waiting for you to be honest, for you to come.
Like, I was just waiting on you, man. Like, now that you've given it to me, I'm excited because we can actually do some things about it. And that's what it's like when you work with a coach who deals with soul care. It's like, we can handle you being upset, but you got to make a choice to give it.
Yeah, and that's basically what I would say. My one tip, if there's any one thing I would say to anyone, 2023, make it the year that you surrender to God. Lord, I want to be the woman that you purpose for me to be. I don't know who she is. I don't even know how she looks, but I trust you. I trust you for the process because there's gifts in me. There's diamonds in me. There's pearls in me that only you can bring out. I'm going to totally surrender to you this year because I want to be healed. I don't want to be triggered. I want to be healed from the trauma that the enemy tried to kill, steal, and destroy my life. So I want you to surrender it all to God this year and say, don't worry about the books. They're going to come. Trust me. Whatever it is that you want to do, it's going to come to pass. You got to surrender to him so he can take you through the process. His way is the best way. Allow him to heal you from the inside out. That would be my tip. Just surrender it, And what does that look like for some? It's just going to be, just start journaling. Just start journaling every day. That might be something for some of you that you have to do. Others of you may have to go through the act of forgiving those who hurt you. You might have to write letters. You don't have to mail them. You might just have to write them out. Just write them out. Just get it outside of you, okay? Get it out of the soul. Just start writing it. Expressing, talking to your phone, or turn the dictate note on and just start talking. Just get it out. You want to get it outside of you so you can begin the healing process. That's the step you might have to take. So I would just say, just begin the journey. The journey of 1,000 miles begin with one step. Don't say, oh my God, this is 1,000 miles. Just say it's one step. Take a step. Define what step am I going to do this year? Am I going to therapy? Am I going to start journaling? And do I need to see a psychiatrist? What do I need to do? Do I need to eliminate friends from my circle? Do I need to get off of social media? Do I need to read more? Do I need to surrender my life to Christ? What is it that you need to do? The one thing,
Okay.
identify the one thing that you need to start first and take that one step. But whatever you do, sis, do not stay where you are.
That
Do
part.
not stay where you are. So that next year, 2024, you're not, if you're listening, you're listening for a different purpose. You're listening because you have made some transitions. You're
Yeah.
walking in your purpose. We don't want to live our life by default. We're going to live it by design. And he has the ultimate design for our life.
Come on, Dr. Charlene. Listen, this podcast has been good and good. I really pray that you got something from it. I know I'm taking away a lot of nuggets, a lot of confirmation. Like this has been rich. So I want to make sure that you all can connect with Dr. Charlene, that you can follow her programs, that you can follow her soul care series, that you can stay connected because I'm telling you, here's the thing. Here's the beauty about what we do. We're both in the same field. We both work with similar clientele, if not the same clientele. But there are some of her sheep are in my audience. I'm not for everyone, but I am for some. And so that's the beauty of being able to collaborate, but doing it without the spirit of competition, doing it without the spirit of comparison, that we can both stand here in our excellence and pour into all of you. And then there's going to be people that listen to this that are like, nah, I need to work with Dr. Charlene. And I'm like, sis, let me throw you the alley oop, because if the healing it is the healing for us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whichever way it is the healing. Okay. So let me make sure that you all have her contact information. You can follow her on IG at Charlene D. Winley, or visit her website at www.charlenedwinley.com to find out more information about her products and services. And so, sis, I want to, thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate your yes. Like we literally just met, like in July, we met. And now we're out here doing things and, sharing the lane and sharing the wealth, sharing the knowledge, sharing the poor. And I'm just so eternally grateful for your yes. And so I want to leave you with the last word for, anyone that's tuning in. Any last thoughts that you have?
Look, sis, just know that God loves you, that you are valuable. You're not a mistake. You're not your past, that you can create a better future. If you just be totally surrendered and this purpose in your heart, that you're not going to be silent any longer. You're going to be that woman that God has purposed you to be, and you refuse to die on the vine with all your gifts inside of you. Allow him to take you through the process. Allow him to squeeze you so that juice, your essence, can come forth. There's gift and there's purpose in you. Know that you have purpose. There's something that you have that no one else possesses, and you have to allow it. Don't die with it. Don't die with it. Don't take it with you in the grave. Leave it here on earth. Be a woman that can equip someone. There's someone waiting to hear you. There's someone waiting for your story. There's someone waiting that only you can speak to. So since we need you, there's plenty of room for you. And we want to open up the stage, open up the platform, open up whatever it is that you're going to do. We don't know what it is. You may have the cure for cancer. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you got. Everybody's not called to be a speaker. You don't have to do that, but do what you do and do it with all your might and do it well. And we welcome you and we're cheering you on. So come forth, sweetie. Come forth.
Listen, you know how somebody like drop the mic? You know what I'm saying? And then all you can do is get on the stage like, well, that's it. That's all, y'all. This conversation has been so good. I'd love to have you back on because, just getting the different perspective and just hearing your story and being able to sort of teach the people like what soul care is about. This conversation has blessed me tremendously, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I pray that this has blessed you in the way that it has blessed me. Okay, somebody? So listen, we are here every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time with the Warrior Woman podcast. And this has been another episode that is one for the books. You hear me? One for the books. So be sure to follow Dr. Charlene and then make sure you are tuning in every Wednesday for the Warrior Woman podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. You all have a great night. Thanks so much.